Hi everyone, I'm back to do a deep dive of Lexi and Rae's relationship. They're one of 5 couples on the Ultimatum Queer Love. Now it's going to take a minute, so go get some water and a snack and settle in. And there are spoiler alerts in this review, so don't watch if you haven't seen all the episodes. My name is Catherine Sloan. I've been a licensed therapist for 20 years. I'm married to a wonderful woman. We have 4 kids, and happy Pride Month. I hope to have time to do a deep dive of all the couples because as a therapist, I see a lot of these same issues come up in all couples. And maybe I can offer some insight and solutions for how to manage some of these dynamics. Now let me know which couples you would like to see next. Now with Lexi and Rae, I will introduce issues like codependence and something called alexithymia. It's a big word, but it's not complicated to understand. Let's jump right in. Lexi is 24 years old. I don't think we know what she does for work, but we know she can work from home from anywhere in the world. She has been with Rae for 3 years, and it looks like they went to college based on these photos they showed in the first episode.
I love Rae more than I think I ever will love another person. We've been together for over 3 years now, and I really want to marry this girl. My mom.
Lexi says she is very ready for marriage, and Rae says she isn't ready to commit yet. So Lexi has issued the ultimatum. Lexi says she knows she is ready to lead a happy life, but she knows she wants to be chosen. Lexi says she can't imagine life without Rae. Then they have their last night together before starting on their dates with other couples. We see Rae and Lexi both having connections with Vanessa at first. They both go on dates with Vanessa. It gets confusing for Lexi, and we see her starting to shift her attention to other people. Let's see a clip of Lexi on a date with Vanessa.
Oof, what makes me a catch?
Wait, how about this? You tell me what makes me a catch, and I'll tell you what makes you a catch.
But I don't know anything about you yet.
Cool, okay.
With Rae, because she is so reserved, sometimes it's hard to know what she's feeling or thinking. It might be easy for some people to see her as boring, but I suspect there's more going on here. I think it's possible that she has some moderate to severe social anxiety, or it could be that it makes her super uncomfortable to be on this show, and we learn later that it took a lot of coaxing from Lexi to get her on this show. She does sometimes remind me of how people with a condition called alexithymia describe their feelings and experience. Alexithymia refers to the inability to express or identify emotions. It's not a well-known condition. It's not a diagnosable condition, but it's suggested that it could affect about 10% of the population. Some signs of alexithymia include difficulty naming their own emotions, difficulty connecting with other people's emotions, general discomfort, seeming apathetic about people, objects, and situations, low tolerance for stress, and sometimes it's perceived as coldness. And people with alexithymia can fear intimacy, and they can feel love when it's strong enough. They just might not be able to describe it or express it in a way that provides their partners with a lot of validation. Also keep in mind that people with alexithymia are not trying to be difficult or cold. They usually aren't aware that they're coming across this way. Now we'll note that a lot of people on the autism spectrum experience alexithymia. So this is just a possibility with Rae. I'm looking at all possibilities here, trying to explain the behaviors that she's exhibiting on the show. And I do realize there is so much I don't know about her, so much. So moving on. Then there's this huge shift where Lexi starts to question Vanessa's motive for being on the show. And from there on, it seems like Lexi is obsessed with Vanessa and is determined to call her out any moment she can. Lexi then turns her attention to Mal. And we see Rae start to make a connection with Vanessa. When Lexi finds out that Rae and Vanessa are connecting, this is very upsetting for her. This is when we start to see Lexi get territorial over Rae. She tells the group that Rae is very trusting and she feels that Vanessa could blow up their lives. She ends up calling Vanessa Voldemort.
Who really is only here because she wants to be famous. My gut check is to protect her, but I can't really save Rae. Don't choose Vanessa. And if they choose...
It seems like this obsession and hatred towards Vanessa is tapping into something deep in Lexi. It could be that they are both trying to be the most powerful on the show, or maybe they are actually a lot of like, and Lexi sees herself in Vanessa. It seems like they both like having power. Now remember, these are just speculations. I'm trying to look at all perspectives here. I'm also picking up on some big codependency vibes from Lexi and Rae, and it's important to bring this up and explain codependency because it's not what people think it is. It can be hard for the couple to identify when it's happening, and they're picking up my trash right now. In a codependent relationship, one person often takes on the role of the caretaker. In codependent relationships, there's a big imbalance of power. The person with the power feels like the other person needs to be saved. With Lexi and Rae, we see that Lexi tends to have a lot of power over Rae, and it seems like she doesn't think Rae can make her own choices. We see that she thinks she needs to save Rae from Vanessa. A clear example of the power indifference is when we learn that Lexi tells Rae that she's going to have to tell her grandfather what she did with Vanessa and how much it's going to hurt him. This is a sign of manipulation and control.
That I did this, and she was like, her grandfather loves me. I don't know why. I don't know why anyone likes me, to be honest. She's like, I don't know how to call.
Codependency can be defined as an addiction to taking care of another person at the expense of your own needs. This is a symbiotic relationship, and both partners become active in this process. Also, this dynamic is common in people with opposite attachment styles, with one person having an anxious attachment style and the other having avoidant attachment style. And I just did an entire video on the anxious avoidant trap, so you can go back and watch that for my explanation of that dynamic. And many times, the person with less power in the relationship feels like they can't say no to things out of a sense of guilt or some unwritten expectation. And over time, one partner starts to build resentment for always saying yes to things they don't really want to do. We hear Rae say a few times how hard it was for her to come on this show. It does seem like there could have been some coercion from Lexi, who seems to have a lot of control in the relationship. I could go on and on about codependency, but I'll stop here. As expected, Rae and Vanessa choose to be each other's trial wives, and Lexi and Mal choose each other. Once they move in together, Lexi verbalizes her intense connection with Mal. They spend 3 weeks together and talk about how easy it is to be together. In episode 4, we see Mal say she could actually leave the show engaged to Lexi. And Lexi seems to agree. They get serious really quickly. Lexi says she thinks Mal is one of her soulmates. They meet with Lexi's parents and inform the parents that they could be engaged by the end of the show. And the mother gives some advice that I think is really wise, and I'll show a clip of that.
I don't think you know enough yet to know what it's really like to be in a so-called marriage or to be dating seriously. I mean, yeah, we're scared because I think you guys maybe rushed.
Now keep in mind that Lexi seems to have an attachment style that is called anxious attachment. These types tend to fall quickly for others. They need a lot of reassurance and validation. They can have few boundaries and attach quickly to other people. I think this is what could be happening here, and this is why she is moving so fast with Mal. She could also be attaching so quickly to Mal because she knows what happened with Rae and Vanessa with that one moment of sexual intimacy, and she feels that she lost power over Rae, and she wants to quickly establish another connection so she can get that validation and security from another partner. Underneath her outer confidence, she actually has a lot of insecurities. With Vanessa as Rae's trial partner, Rae seems to gain more of a voice. She seems to gain a little more confidence, then comes back to the relationship being able to state more of what she needs. She said she was able to laugh a lot with Vanessa. Throughout the show, we see Rae belittling herself, saying she doesn't know why anyone would love her. She admits she has a lot of negative self-talk. In the beginning, she struggles to tell Vanessa even 3 things she likes about herself.
3 things you love about yourself.
Okay.
I love that when you're nervous, you start shaking your...
She struggles a lot with self-esteem and confidence, and in the end, we see her saying she doesn't even think she deserves Lexi. She gives the example of Lexi being like a big glass that she won't be able to fill up. Now, I also feel that there could be cultural issues at play here. Keep in mind that we don't know much at all about Rae's family, and they don't come on the show at all. She does mention at some point that she is Chinese. It's possible that she isn't out to her family, and that's causing a huge internal struggle for her. There could be a lot of shame where she feels like she's betraying her family. Again, these are just speculations. There's so much I don't know. I'm just trying to look at all the possibilities. Once Lexi and Rae reconnect, we see them start to have some hard conversations about how they would want their communication to look different. Rae is able to find her voice a little bit more and try to take back some of the power. And Rae tells her that she feels like she's on the defensive all the time when she's trying to talk to Lexi. I'll see if I have a clip of that.
I feel like I'm on the defense when I'm like trying to tell you how I'm feeling. I wouldn't have to feel the same way. Like, we can feel different. We can agree to disagree, but like just listen and be like, okay, well.
She tells her that Lexi makes her feel dumb and talks down to her, and it's really great that she was able to express herself in this way to Lexi. These are super important conversations for them to have. There's a scene on the beach where Rae says, "Do I even love myself? Do I even deserve to be loved?" And she starts crying, and this was heartbreaking to hear and watch. I was holding my breath throughout the whole thing.
Do I love myself? Do I even deserve to be loved? Like, I'm fucking drowning.
Episode 8 ends with Rae still being undecided about what to do. She seems to feel a lot of pressure. No one wants to have to make a decision to get married under this much pressure. It's very important to remember that getting married is not going to change any of these dynamics, and codependency issues will still be alive and strong. They will still end up in the anxious avoidant trap, and they will still struggle with all the same issues in a marriage, and these types of issues can leave people feeling very dissatisfied in a marriage. These types of issues can be worked through, but it takes a lot of work individually and as a couple. They would need to break the cycle of the anxious avoidant trap, and Lexi will need to learn to be less critical and less shaming. They would need to learn to listen to each other's perspectives without one person being right or wrong. And let's keep in mind that Lexi is young. She's 24 years old, and a lot of this stuff we just learn over time, right? As we make mistakes and learn what does and doesn't work for us. I mean, ideally, they would both take some time to be single, to get therapy and reflect on what's happening, instead of being in this pressure cooker of trying to, decide to get married. In the end, we see that Rae does decide to ask Lexi to marry her, and Lexi has a ring for Rae too. Rae reflects on all the small things she loves about Lexi, and she makes sure to point out all of Lexi's strengths that she sees, and it's a really touching speech. I can't wait for the reunion show to see how they are doing and how much they have grown. Thanks so much for watching and commenting. Please like and subscribe. Now I'll go get a glass of water and get a snack, and I hope everybody sleeps well. See you next time.